Welcome to Alien Theorists Theorizing, case file 136, Megas Platanos. I'm Braden.
I'm Zell.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Andrew.
Are you flossing your teeth?
You're flossing.
Kidding me right now.
Thought I'd get it out. Hey, listen, I thought I'd get it out before it started.
Holding a fucking floss.
In case
And it
anyone's
looks like
wondering, I got it.
Is it because you have the
You
blur
want to
setting?
brush too? Like,
Hey, listen. This is our second time recording this fucking one, all right?
you throw some scope in there or what?
Yeah, you got. Where's your scope? Where's your electric toothbrush? What do you got?
Got your water pick out too?
Washing my mouth down with some fucking Coors.
Dude, you have your background blur on, so we can't see what kind of beer that is. It looks like you're drinking a tub of peanut butter.
No, it's my Lions koozie. That's what it is. See?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Anyways,
Do you lose the beers in it often? Lose the-
That was you could do better. You could do better.
I wasn't prepared.
Happy
I should've
420,
referred to
everybody.
my notes.
To all my fellow herbalists out there. If you want to take part in Zell's weed smoking game through this podcast, if you're watching a live stream, you're going to see me get up, and that's your cue to also get up and smoke a huge bong rip. Just wait.
Good game.
Yeah,
Well thought out.
every single time Zell leaves, where we can play a new practical joke on him when he comes back.
and the more we go, the more I just won't care, and I'll just pretend like nothing's happening. I'll sit here and drink.
Because you'll forget the last time we already pranked you.
I listened back to that prank. It was a great prank.
Oh, it was unreal, man.
I got back, and my reaction was just like, "Are you for real? You can't hear me?" For like 5 minutes, I'm like, if you can't see what I'm doing in that, but I'm unplugging like all the cords. I'm like, what the fuck did I do? Did I push something? I had no idea. Is there a secret button on this thing?
Good. Suck it, Zell.
Did anyone call you later last night?
I turned off the app.
Oh, did you?
Oh, boo.
Boo, yeah. I thought for sure it was
Any
so.
voicemails though?
For anyone listening that wasn't listen to our Patreon only live stream last night, we now officially have a phone number that works. You can call a number, leave us a voicemail. We are going to get up and running here sooner than later. Some call-in shows where we'll pick a topic, take calls, have a little group chat. It'll be lots of fun. If you want that kind of information when those are happening, get on our Patreon.
I'll get the phone number going here soon. I don't have it right now. It's not quite officially right now. It's just set up to my personal mobile, and I'm the only person who can hear it. So we're gonna get it into the board through Skype, and so everyone can have a listen.
All right, Megas Platanos.
Round
Is that
two.
how I even say it?
Platanos? I think so.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. What is
Pretty
it?
close.
Do you have a Greek
I'm sure. I have no idea. It's Megas Platanos, maybe.
Megas Platanos.
Yeah, I read Greek names. I don't know. I like take a look at Greek names and I say how I think it sounds, and then I hear somebody else say it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're wrong. I was way wrong."
How do you pronounce Achilles?
Achilles.
Achilles.
Yeah, just like same thing. How do you Hercules? Same thing.
Hercules.
Megas Platanos.
So we're talking about
Very-
Megas Platanos UFO crash. This is a event that took place in 1990 in the Greek town of Megas Platanos, which is a bit south of Mount Olympus, and about that. It's about central. It's in central Greece, and this happened in the 2nd of September. And what exactly happened was that there were multiple accounts of people witnessing what they described as large, brightly lit crafts. And not just one, not just two, but like half a dozen of these things, which appeared to move silently through the skies of Mega Platanos. Now, usually these wouldn't be so, sighting of lights and orbs and things like that doesn't go so far. But again, this is classified as a crash. Accounts from this event have people observing what seemed to be one of the lights exhibiting a kind of erratic movement, and it kind of just fell from the sky and seemed to crash into the ground. One of the witnesses was named.
Here we go, Dan. Here you got it.
Trantos Karatanjos. Karatranjos?
Karatrandos? What's a Greek? What's a Greek accent? How does one do a Greek accent?
Trantos.
You gotta do your Michael Scott.
Andrew, you got a Greek accent?
No, I just stole it from Michael Scott when he was
Let's hear it.
Mykonos characters. I'm a Mykonos. So
Cantos. Something like that.
Is he? He's probably a descendant of Zeus, right? We can assume that.
I think
I
we're-
am sure.
Mykonos.
Everyone is a little bit. I wouldn't doubt it.
Erythranos, Jos. Yeah, Zeus got around.
So, Mr. Trantos was a shepherd who had been working around in that area, and he told investigators who went to, look at this crash or where it happened. It happened 500 meters from where he stood. He said that he observed flames and fires spreading from the vegetation that was around the crash area.
I'll stop you right there for a second. I'm going to stop you right there because I want to dig deep into this for a second. I know, looking at me and with all my knowledge that I'm well known for, like outside of like the shepherd, he does something with sheep, right? Is that what a shepherd does?
Yes.
A shepherd herds sheep.
Like they've got like the cane, right? That rounded cane.
Yeah, they grab the sheep. They pretty much break sheep neck when trying to round them up. They grab them that fucking cane and pull them in. That's why I always thought.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know. That's kind of what I thought. But my main question is in every article I read, it said old Trantos Karanchos. It said he was working in the area at 3 a.m.
Well, maybe he's
what
guarding.
kind of hours do shepherds work?
Dude, maybe he's
Weird
guarding
hours.
against wolves. Like maybe there's fucking wolves in Greece, and he's guarding against the wolves, trying to fucking take a stock that early in the morning.
Dude, if you have to take stock of your sheep at 3 a.m, that's
Listen.
the worst job.
Listen, everybody fucking knows sheep don't sleep, because how else are you gonna fucking count them when you try to sleep?
There you
There you go.
They're just heading to everyone's dreams. That's why you got to keep them in the fields.
That's the busiest time for them.
Maybe.
At 3 a.m?
Yeah, clearing fences.
Maybe he gets up at 3. Maybe he just got up. Maybe he goes to sleep early. Got up real early to go check on his on the sheep.
That's a really good question as to why. That's a good question. I'm not sure what kind of hours shepherds keep. I'm sure it's quite long. I know some of them will probably end up sleeping out there. I mean, if you don't have a
Probably sleep with your
shepherd
sheep.
dog or something,
Yeah.
I suppose. I mean, it's a lot of outdoor time.
Maybe he had a shepherd dog that died, and now he has to take duty over that dog. So now he's protecting him from the wolves. He's out there. He's out there with his cane.
I'm like, my belief in this story hinges on old Trantos, whether I find him believable. So one of the things that I find, I'm like instantly, this will be more reliable to me if someone's like, oh, hell yeah, man. Shepherding, you're working 19-hour days, you're up at 2, you know what I mean? You're not pulling those sheep, all they want to do is run away from you. You got to keep herding them in. It's crazy. I'll be like, okay, well, then that makes sense. But for me, I was like, it's dark. Like, are they build a fence? Like, what is going on with sheeping? Why is it so hard? There's got to be a better way. is what
especially
I'm
in
saying. You're
especially in
working at 3
1990.
Yeah, it's not like your ancient times.
Ma-
This isn't ancient Greece we're talking about.
Maybe he's just a goddamn hard worker. Gets up early, goes to bed late, always tending sheep.
I don't know. Apparently, shepherding is kind of a big thing in Greece, and also places like New Zealand and Australia. But it's not so much. I don't think the wolves they have to worry about, but it's saying here about like feral dogs are a big problem.
Fuck, almost the same thing. Speaking of sheep herders in New Zealand and Australia, when I was in Australia, I watched a competition. No joke. It was like a pro competition of how fast you can shave a sheep.
Right. Those are sheep shearing contests.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. I could not believe that was a real thing. These guys are just shaving a sheep in like 20 seconds, the whole thing.
Do they do
With
that
the
at 3
electric
in the
razors,
morning?
because I think they have ones where they do it with the shears too, like the mechanical ones, the
Well,
big scissors.
Maybe the one I seen was like a giant electric razor, and there's like
Right. Yeah. But I think they also the ones where they do it with the traditional like.
So you're on vacation in Australia, and that's what you chose to spend your time.
Dude, we got a
doing,
lot of
watching.
Australian listeners. I'm telling you, this was a big event. People were getting hammered at this place. It was like going to like watch darts or something. Like people just got hammered and watched sheep
an
shaving.
NRL game. You know what I mean?
Well, I
Like,
watched them
looked it
all.
up.
Dude, I watched everything I could, and sheep shaving was just part of the docket, along with AFL, the National Rugby League, and
Yeah, NRL.
sheep shaving.
You know what though? Listen,
Eels.
I would say this. The sheep shaving.
You'd go.
I would equal that, like equate that to like coming to Canada and being like one of the days you go and spend at the rodeo and watch like all the like where they tie up the little calves and stuff and tackle them. And you're like,
No.
it's funny watching people get wrecked for like an afternoon and get drunk.
No, but that's
You're like,
worldwide.
that's-
Rodeo's worldwide. Sheep shaving is only in like select parts of the world.
yeah. Yeah.
Anyways,
Just-
if
anyways, what did this sheep shaver see?
he's hardworking sheep shaving shepherd.
So Mr. Trantos said that he described a area of burnt area, like flames coming out from what it seemed to be something had crashed on the ground. So this was early in the morning, about 3 a.m. And as the morning, waned on, it seemed that the remaining 5 crafts that were hovering in the area seemed to be like 2 at a time would drop down and seem to hover close to what was seen as the crash site. As daylight came, they had another small group of local residents who all ended up venturing out to the spot, and they said that they saw the same thing. It was a small, dark, burned oval shape in the ground. So after the lights departed, people said this thing is like the burned area seemed very acute, like it had been cut with a knife, is what they said. So it was a very defined oval area. And so all the people decided it would be a good idea. So many of the people who discovered the crash site took a bunch of tiny pieces.
I heard they took like what looked like wire and like burnt like remains of whatever was there.
Right. They took them as souvenirs.
100%. Every single one of us here would have done exactly the same thing.
Yep.
100%.
I would have just started running.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew wouldn't have made it to the ground itself, but
No. Fucking
No,
Forrest
I would
Gump, as soon as I
have
saw
kept
the
the
thing.
piece for sure. It's wild to me that everyone described it as like they're like, from what we saw, it looked like it was like a recovery mission. These things were like came down and recovered whatever crashed.
Right. So
there was
even
5 or
after
something.
this event, a short while after, the Greek Air Force actually came to investigate themselves, and they said the residents of the area said that whatever was left there, they took.
Now, do we have any pictures or anything like that of anything that was left? Do we have any evidence? Or
Oh,
anything?
dude, everyone knows photos in the 90s aren't reliable.
This is true.
Yeah, but those people would still probably have those objects.
What do you
of
think?
the
All
night.
these people have cameras on shepherd salaries? Like,
Dude, it's 3 in the
90s?
morning.
Come on.
as far as I know, no one has ever come forward with any of the wreckage.
No, and there's no photos of this particular incident.
Well, they're also saying that people lost it, and I'm like, how do you lose something like that?
Oh no, dude! If I had something like that, it'd be right here on my wall every day. Every
put it
single
in a
time,
nice
I'd be like,
little, shadow box, like a little like
yeah,
like
100%. And I'd turn to it every day, and I'd be like, hey guys, see this? See this here?
Yeah, but maybe they had
Piece
some
of a spacecraft.
government
You remember
officials
this shit?
knock on their doors and fucking buy it off them. Give them some hush money.
It is true. They are shepherds. Are they prone to taking buyouts
All right, first
to save the farm?
If you're playing
Right? This could be a movie.
if you're playing the game, this is the first rip. Keep going though. I'll be right back.
This could-
Why does he have to go? I'm confused.
I don't know. He doesn't like smoking in there, I guess.
Is it
He
like
goes right
outside? Oh, he has to go outside. He's the one that's smoking the studio.
I forgot what I was talking about.
Talking about giving bribes
Oh yeah,
to
our
shepherds.
This could be a movie. This could be a movie, right? He finds the piece of metal. The farm's in disrepair, right? He's like, the bank, he owes money on the bank, and the government comes in, and he's like, this is the end of the movie where he finds the alien metal and he sells it to the government to save the farm.
Oh, you know what
Save
he's
the
doing is he's using that. He's forged that alien metal into fucking sheep shears, and that's how he wins all the contests.
That's why the Greek are world renowned for their sheep shaving.
Well, doesn't everybody know that?
Ask
Isn't that
any one of
common
these
knowledge?
Australians. That's what, I wouldn't even be surprised if what we're saying is 100% fact.
Gotta
That
be.
the best, and this is the most logical thing I've ever heard. They made them into sheep shears to shave the sheep to win all the contests to save the farm.
To win the Cotton Cup.
Yeah.
One thing I find pretty funny is that the official statement from the Greek Air Force was that they said that what the people had witnessed was a Soviet satellite or a small plane.
That's quite the variation.
Right?
Dude,
There's a huge gap between those two things.
And there's a huge gap between like even what they describe. Like to me as a person, I'm like, satellites don't do that, and small planes don't do what they've described. So to be like, yeah, it was a satellite or a small plane, it's ludicrous to what these people have said they've seen. Like, why not be like, oh, it was like helicopters would be close and be like, we didn't hear them, and they're like, they're new ones, and then just walk away, right? You would be like, all right, okay, well maybe helicopters can hover, but like they describe
They
light
burn holes in
floating.
the ground, like, yeah.
They describe the one crashing, these other ones just hovering silently, the other one's coming down and appeared to be retrieving the wreckage of the down one and then leaving silently. I'm like, what small plane? How is that a small plane? And that's all that's one small plane. No, it's a Russian satellite.
So the people
They do some good
claim
stuff.
that the craft, when they got there was no actual craft. There was just debris, right? So when the Greek Air Force came, they just would have found the same stuff, just a burn in the ground.
Whatever was left after those, what you missed is we determined that the shepherds came, took the metal, and the reason they lost the metal is because they forged it into shears, so they could go around and win all the sheep shaving competitions around the globe.
That's gold. That's great.
Super lightweight space age sheep shears.
Just some super alloy, and
Yeah.
never gets dull.
Yeah, and they did it to save the farm.
I like this theory.
That's in the movie. We should, man. Once we're big and we can have ATD Productions, this will be our feel good movie. All right.
The sheep shaving
We'll call
shepherd.
We'll call it Little Lamb Cuts. Huh?
Write the script. I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I think we could probably crowd fund like $500 to put that together.
I just don't know how we can squeeze.
I don't know how much we're gonna get that out of
Sasquatch
sheep.
in
How
it.
much does sheep
Dan,
cost?
Dan is definitely playing Trantos.
Yeah.
100%.
Dan Caratrandos.
Stelio Cantos. Does that name ring a bell with anybody?
Yep.
Is that what you're singing? When
Yeah.
You yeah, I
Yeah.
knew it. That's why it was driving me nuts. That's fucking funny. That was hilarious.
I don't recognize it.
We gotta play it in after hours. You have to play it.
Okay, explain it in after hours. I have no idea what that is.
It's fucking gold.
But I mean, that's pretty much what you get from Megas Platanos. Now, I mean, we kind of picked this one because, you know, Greek UFOs, like Greece is not any stranger to kind of what you would
Oh hell
you could
no.
say as like extraterrestrial activity, because like even in the early 2000s there was another case where people had sighted UFOs near the town of Santorini, and this one was reported by a family, and they witnessed not only sphere-shaped crafts that were hovering and moving over the skies of their small village. But what they also described was that they had also seen some sort of entity, some sort of creature that had entered their house on several occasions.
What?
Right.
Dude, it's
and
like
they
that
said
Kelly Hod.
these sightings occurred at night, and it was some sort of they described it as a strange looking creature about 3 feet tall and what looked to be reptilian brown skin and white hair. I'm not sure if the white hair is like on the head. I'm picturing like a mohawk. That's what I'm picturing.
So kind of like Spike.
Yeah, perfect
I
80s
know.
mohawk.
Spike.
Dude, that sounds just like that. What's the?
And he's wearing tiny slit sunglasses.
And they said he was wearing something, so he was wearing clothes, and they said it's something akin to a robe or gown. I don't know why they didn't
Can
just say toga, because that's what you would wear
I'm
if
telling
you
you,
were a Greek reptilian.
He's also wearing
Dan.
fingerless leather gloves in my
Dan,
hand.
you've described fucking Spike from Gremlins.
Maybe.
No, that's him. Google
To a T.
Spike from Gremlins. It looks exactly like him.
I know what Spike from Gremlins looks like. Yeah, but yeah, I guess
White
or
mohawk,
Spike. Okay,
brown
Spike
skin
from
skin.
Gremlins wearing a toga. That is what you get. That's what I'm
And
picturing.
that's not
right now.
like that description of a reptilian is like not far off of other 80s descriptions of reptilians, of them looking like they're straight out of 80s pop culture. That's pretty commonly seen. But anyway, reptilians, they're described very similar. But if that thing, I was always thinking, like, in my head, my first initial thought is like, oh, dude, if that thing was in my house, I'd fuck it up. But I'm like, I get scared of a spider. Like, I would not fuck anything up. That Spike, that's a T, what we just described.
Yeah,
that's
if you get
him.
up in the middle of the night to like get a drink of water and you like turn around the corner and it's just some fucking like
Dan.
gremlin in a toga.
That's you just said water, buddy. That's the first mistake. Keep that shit away from him.
Yeah.
Right,
You'd
you
spill
gotta-
it.
Everybody knows you keep water away from the mugwais.
Yeah. Well, I would end up like if you just turned the corner and you just saw it, like I'd end up throwing it on and just make things worse. But it'd be like,
Just
like
panic.
fuck.
While they're bubbling for a little bit, like with the water, do you think you could like just quickly
Stomp on them.
Yeah.
Just run them. Just start stomping
Like
them.
just like soccer kick them into the closet. It just like
Soccer kick them. Okay, this reminds me of this. Take a look at this. I'm not going to tell you what it's from. Just have a little peek. We talked about this encounter before. The same type of creature.
Yeah, 100%, dude.
oh, that's the fuck. What's that one?
Dan, does Dan know?
Something gremlin.
It's exactly like Spike, so with all the mohawk.
Shit, I forgot what they call. We
Yeah,
talked
it's
about him
wrong.
too.
Yeah, we talked about it's that Kelly Hopkinsville encounter where they fucking
Yeah.
climb on the roof and
Oh,
shit,
yeah,
and they're
that's right.
tapping on the glass and shit. Sounds like the
Yeah.
same type of creature.
Weird little fucks.
Is that the one when they're on the roof and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
terrorizing that family?
Yeah, they're, like,
That was
tapping
a
on the-
terrifying story.
Yeah, they're tapping on the tin roof and shit, and the guys are like shooting the guns like out the window at the creatures and shit.
Dude, honestly, that's one of the scariest alien encounters we've talked about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're
100%.
down on the front lawn, like I think they were tapping sticks or something. They have.
See, what they didn't tell you about that story, though, is that family actually went to a Chinese market earlier that day and purchased a few mugwais.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
what they didn't tell you.
So
It's
what
got
you're saying
loose.
is mugwais are just alien creatures that are only sold in where'd they get it?
I got from like some old Asian market or something like that, if I remember correctly.
So what you're saying is mugwais have caused coronavirus is what you're saying basically.
Well, don't eat them. I don't know why people are trying to fucking eat them.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff people shouldn't be eating that people are eating, so careful. You never know what the consequences could be.
But that'd be terrifying. I think in my head, my first initial thought's like, oh, I'd fuck that thing up. But like,
Fuck no.
dude, I remember like being in Thailand and stuff and like seeing a gecko in my house and being like, ah, like just completely freezing.
Buddy, I had to catch a mouse in my house the other day, and like I couldn't help. I don't understand. I'm not scared of mice. They're not scary at all. Every time I'd go to try and scoop it up with the dustpan, and it would like move, I would jump right on my fucking shoe. Like I'd be like, "Whoa!" Like, why? I could fucking smush this fucking thing. But yet I'm shitting my pants every time it moves. Like, what the
Oh,
fuck?
dude, seeing that fucking creature, I can't even imagine the heart jump that you would get like walking out and it just like being at the end of the hallway and just like having that like just that long stare down with each other for a second. Like fuck that, man. Terrifying.
Just run.
But so this type of creature, the first thing when they kind of described it, you know, Greece is no stranger to monsters from myth and legend. So it's not. I mean, if they did see something, you know, could it have possibly been something that was already there or something like that? There are rumors, and they were saying at the time of these sightings, like there were kind of rumors that went around, and I think they're still around today, that there's always been this kind of idea that there is an underground alien base underneath Mount Olympus.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're getting to the good stuff.
Now we're getting the meat.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So people have put
fucking
forth
Hollow
the theory.
Olympus.
Hollow Olympus. Come on now. We're about to drop some truth bombs on you.
Here they come.
So people
Coming.
have put forth a theory, and it's not completely crazy, but that Greek gods and monsters, which were part of myth and legend of, you know, Greek history, were perhaps, you know, just extraterrestrials. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the greatest theories out there. That's straight ancient aliens.
You have the one like it's not just, well, and it's not just myth and legend. There's actually like a historical account where a Roman general Sillus, when he was on a campaign in Albania on his march to Greece, they said that his army actually captured a satyr. It was written like in a historical account, not like a legend, not it wasn't part of like, you know, the Odyssey or the Iliad or things like that. Like this was an actual historical account, and then they said that they caught this thing and they identified it as a satyr, which is a half man, half goat creature.
Phil.
Dan.
And they said that they couldn't speak, or that it made sounds.
That sounded like Danny DeVito.
Need to find some whores. Like, can I offer you an egg in this trying time?
It's a rum ham.
But they described it as making sounds like a goat or a horse, but it couldn't speak English, and it didn't seem to understand them talking to it. So I mean,
Speak Greek?
That's great. So hold on. Was the satyr in this satyr? Here, I gotta
Here we go.
picture this for a second. Was this satyr so it could only make noises of a goat, like that weird ass like when goats yell?
Oh my god.
So here's my question. Was the top half the goat and the bottom half the man in that scenario? Like, is that still technically a satyr?
That's all they do.
yeah. If I heard that in the middle of the night, I'd fucking book it.
Demons.
It's
That's
so
fucking
small.
demons
Goats
right
are
there.
fucking creepy enough, man.
If I hear
little square
the
poop
crack of the
humans and
wood,
shit.
a crack of a stick in the middle of the night, dude, I'm done. I'm like, oh God, please, Jesus, save me from these woods. Get me home, and I shall worship you, oh Lord. And then I get home and I'm like, whew, I made it. Thank you, me, for getting me out of there.
So I mean, you have tons of creatures that, you know, are described in Greek legend, which are, you know, people like you have people described as almost like analogs to extraterrestrials today that they describe. And, you know, having satyrs, half man, half human, or any of the half human, half, you know, animal creatures from Greek legend are just not, maybe they were based on some sort of truth.
All the gods were, in my opinion.
Well, that's what's cool too, because like if you read like any of Jack Kirby's internals, that's basically his storyline too, right? He was using basically the basis for the characters were like the Greek gods, and they were all alien.
Yeah, there's some some people base their theory on the idea that some of the inventions or some of the technology that Greeks were rumored to possess, or were actually, in historical accounts possessed themselves, were in fact given to them. The idea or the actual technology itself was, as they claim, it came from the gods, and that's just a way of saying it came from extraterrestrials, that they gave them the technology or the inspiration to build machines, because the Greeks were in some areas they were fantastically advanced in the ideas of math, philosophy, things like that.
See,
Why
I
do
like
we?
to... Go ahead, Andrew.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, why are we so fast to like pull away from human, ingenuity and be like, wow, no, that's way too advanced for them. They couldn't have created that. Where we got fuckers now inventing iPhones and all this other crazy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Yeah, but
Who
now
gave us those? The gods, Andrew. That's when they crashed in Roswell. That's where we got the technology. We're still doing the same thing we did back in Greece.
yeah,
It's
they
all from aliens.
reverse
How does the
engineered all
TV
that
work?
shit.
Tell me right now. You don't know.
No one knows how it fucking
Aliens.
works.
hey, listen, you're talking to the wrong guy, because I think it was until I was about 9 years old, I wouldn't change in front of the TV because I thought they could see me.
Here's- Nothing's changed, eh? It's it's I forgot what we're talking about, dude.
I'm talking about fucking gods. So we're talking about. So if you go with ancient aliens route, the gods of like the stories of Mount Olympus, and what was the father of all the gods, like Kronos or something?
Kronos, yeah.
He ate all his children except for Zeus, and Zeus flew into Kronos and freed all his children. And you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. But then if you say you were like a person back there who had no real knowledge of like anything, like no flying, obviously no flying craft or anything, and then you look up and there's like an alien mothership. This is the real theory here. Kronos was an alien mothership, and then all the Greek gods were like other ships that were going into them, and then the other was like a sky battle or something, and they defeated Kronos, and then they wrote down the mythology. That's the ancient aliens version, and then the other version is that the Greeks just followed the constellations and then gave names and like anamorphized. Is that the right term?
Anthropomorphized.
Anthropomorphized.
See, to me, I'm like, to have such, when you look at some of the Greek technology, like we'll talk about it in a bit, but like the Antikythera mechanism and stuff, to me, I'm like, when I look at those things, like, yeah, they're impressive, but I look and I go like, those are very like human, in the realms of what humans can do. So I'm always like, I like to think of like, why couldn't it be like time traveling humans, right? Or humans from the future or something that were back then, and they have this technology. So that's why they're depicted as people, right? But like, say Zeus's thunderbolts, say it's like if you never saw a gun before, right? And how would you describe it? You're like, if you had no context, I could see you being like, oh man, like he shot thunder out of his hands. It was crazy.
Well, it is the very same thing, right? Because like when you shoot a bullet, like supersonic speeds creates that crack, like that thunder crack, especially on like a large caliber bullet, like a really big, like 300 Magnum, like it cracks the air so hard. You
shoot someone with a bullet and they die. It's not like people are like, here's the bullet that killed him, right? Like they're not doing all of it. They'd be like, holy shit, there's a hole in him. He just got struck by lightning.
Well, and when you listen to all these stories about the gods, they're all very human. You know what I mean? They all have these human traits. Like when you read about Zeus, the most important thing you take away from that guy is Zeus fucks.
A lot.
That guy fucks.
Smokes.
Nobody fucks more than Zeus.
And here's if Zeus was an alien, there'd be way more hybrid people walking around. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
Dude, he was swinging dick everywhere.
Zeus fucks. That guy fucks.
Zeus, he fucks. How many? I don't know my Greek mythology that well, but how many like half gods are accredited to Zeus?
Yeah.
463.
Like half gods are actually legitimate children. Well, legitimate children as well. I guess.
I guess both.
Illegitimate children.
Illegitimate children.
Yeah, like
that guy loved thunderbolts and fucking. That's the two. That's what he was about. Sometimes he'd do the weather and shit, but like Only when he wasn't doing the other two.
Yeah.
They call it thunder lips.
But okay, so I'm gonna say like even like I'm thinking in my head like going with like maybe like the analogy for it's shooting, the thunder is like shooting a bullet or something, right? And if you shot someone like a smaller caliber, say they did do autopsies and they're like, oh look at the wound and it wouldn't go straight through because many times the bullet will go through like bounce around and if it comes out it'll pop out somewhere else, right? And they'd be like, oh, the only thing could do that.
Well,
And
if he's shooting a 22, it's not going to be that loud of a crack, and the one that's not going to have an exit wound is going to be a 22 that's ricocheting throughout the body.
No. But like, I don't know, 45, 9 mil?
I mean, but like, are we talking autopsies here? Because we're talking in a time where people are getting fucking leeched and sacrificed. So
Yeah,
I think there's no fucking CSI Grease fucking.
Wasn't like Greece like the dawn of medicine?
Oh, I'm sure it was, but not when they're fucking worshiping the gods.
Like, listen to this. I'm saying, like, say if fucking some strong man, some like, what's that guy's name? Thor Bjorgensen or whatever, that giant
Fucking mountain or whatever.
if he was on some sort of crew in some 80s movie that got time traveled back to space, they would think that motherfucker is Hercules.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They would be like, oh my God, like the shit he's lifting, like they don't know how to work out their muscles to like maximize. So I'm saying like even one of us would impress.
Buddy, those guys did everything with their hands back in the day. When you look at any of those fucking sculptures, they're jacked.
I'm just saying they're not lifted. I'm saying someone who trains to lift is going to dust people. Like there'll be a couple like strong guys where they're like just naturally strong, but like, you know what I mean? Like you send back like a power lifter.
I don't know, man.
I bet you people are stronger back then.
I'm not talking like you or me, Andrew. I'm talking like someone who's fucking strong.
Because I'm pretty sure that there's
really strong.
I'm pretty sure there's Greek sailing records like that they've been found like of rowing records, and then today's modern rowers are like that's untouchable. That's a record that is not even humanly possible.
Buddy, these guys are walking everywhere they need to go. They're carrying everything they need to fucking bring with. Like they're doing everything with their hands. Like these guys.
That's what I mean. But if you like go with like a linear progression of humanity, like there's like we weren't very advanced till 12,000 years ago, and we discovered farming. Then slowly society and better building methods, and it got progressively better and better and better. Then you get to some of these ancient structures that are so much more advanced than we can currently make, and you're like, well, maybe all those stories, like we've put a good picture together, but I don't think that a lot of the stuff that we think about ancient Greece and stuff is probably true. Now let's talk about the mechanism. So we briefly mentioned it. It was Antikythera mechanism. Is that how you pronounce it? Anyways, like what was it? How long ago? It was not that long ago. They were diving 150 feet under the sea in the Aegean Sea, just off the coast of Greece.
Under the sea.
And found an ancient shipwreck, and inside they found this mechanism. And I don't know how they deduced, but they've deduced that this is an astronomical calendar. Could predict eclipses and predict eclipses and movement of planets. And
I thought this was an ancient fighter jet. What are you talking about?
No,
that's fucking.
You ruined the joke.
It's,
my bad. Sorry.
That is a fucking great clip though, and because we all watched a clip of Ancient Aliens where they talk about this mechanism, and who is it that makes that comparison? David Childress.
Yeah.
He says the finding of these gears and this Antikythera mechanism is the equivalent of finding a jet airplane in King Tut's tomb. And I was like, holy shit, that's a stretch. Just leaps and bounds away.
Yeah, you like.
Impressive.
I mean,
this
like,
mechanism is impressive.
Here's the mechanism. If you're watching the live stream, you can follow along. But it's like it's essentially just a gear. It looks like a gear. It's like in 3 pieces in the museum. It's in 3 different pieces now. But they've deduced that it's actually like a set of gears that can like accurately predict astronomical movements. So
right.
They didn't think that like machining was like technically actually, as far as like our linear progression of humanity.
100 years before they knew they could do this.
They said like,
what if that was something that came to Earth you know what I mean, from space, from Gear World during the Gear Wars. Like, has anybody thought about that? Like that could be a relic from Revolio Clocksburn
Listen.
Jr.
This story can go that way. Like we could make a serious case for the Gear Wars being real, and some gear faces came to Earth and set up shop.
Fighter jets.
Are you saying Zeus is a gearhead?
Well, dude, they talk about the island of Rhodes.
But
In what book when they say the statues, the statues would come alive and move like a human or something like that in one of the books. I can't remember which one. It's been a while since I watched Ancient Aliens. Watched the clip today, but I was like, you know what? And then David fucking what's that guy's name? David Wilcox.
David Wilcox.
He goes. He's fantastic. I love him. Just fantastic. He goes, well, listen. If they knew about these gears, it's not that far away to say that they knew robotics.
And I think he actually said advanced robotics.
Yeah, but like, you know what I mean? Like anybody who's been around statues and shit like that, like, you know what I mean? You go to museums or whatever. Don't you ever get that eerie feeling that they're like watching you and kind of like moving?
Dude, some of those ancient statues are so precise.
They're spectacular, but they're not living and moving. So to me, like this is where my brain goes when I hear that, and like someone says that like living and moving. I imagine like, you know, when you're watching all those weird fucking old movies where they paint the human statues and they just stand there, and then they'll like change position every now and then, but it's just people painted who just stay really still.
Do you mean like the guys who panhandle?
What?
What?
Like
Panhandle?
the guys that are fucking pretending to be statues that are panhandling?
Yeah, the human robot statue.
Not those crusty jugglers. I'm talking like in the old movies. But yeah, same
Like,
guys.
what old movie are you
living
talking
statue.
about? I have no idea.
Have you never seen like a movie like The Mummy?
Have you never
or
seen a movie, Andrew?
Have you ever seen a movie? There's like the Greek.
No, I don't
Greek
watch
ones.
them because I feel like they're watching me back. Okay?
But this machine is like, it is cool that they found it. Like, I think Ancient Aliens overhypes it a little bit.
Of course, but that's half the fun.
Because my thing is, I'm like, if this is from like, if you're saying like, oh, this is crazy technology that they got from aliens, I'm like, that technology doesn't seem that useful if people are traversing the fucking stars to get here. And I'm like, they traverse the stars and then they get out and they're just like, yeah, let me see here. Let me crank this thing here. Like, oh no, back it up. Oh,
Well,
there we go.
maybe it wasn't that. Maybe like they didn't use it, but they instilled knowledge of the cosmos.
I cracked it in my 420 haze.
Nice.
It came to me.
All right, let's hear it.
Right? What's that advanced Lego?
Connects
Technic.
Connects.
or Technics?
No.
This is just some
Technic.
kid's Connects toy from an alien race, and they're just like put it together like, oh, look at this thing, it tells the stars, haha. Like some kid put it together on the spaceship and then gave it to a human, and they were like, this is from the gods.
Well, maybe. In my mind, though, I feel like people have been like watching the stars and making like astronomical like buildings for a long time. Like, you can consider Stonehenge, like Adam's calendar in like South Africa, and like a bunch of other ones. So you could say like that knowledge has been around humanity for a long time, may have been lost in like the Dark Ages and then rediscovered. But as far as like the machining of advanced like technology like that, that was 1,500 years earlier. Like that's why it seems so crazy.
Yeah, but look at a picture of that, and then look at a picture of an astrolabe.
Yeah, pull up one of those.
Well, that thing's been at the bottom of the ocean for 1,500 years, so you can
But I'm saying like that one they said was like they had evidence that it was inside like a wooden box, and if you should like they have actual pictures of what they think are like recreations or reconstructions of what they think it actually looks like, and it's like it's it looks very similar to an astrolabe, which existed about the same time. The first ones that they have are like 200 BC, which was this one. They dated this one to like 200 something BC, I think, as well.
Now, let's pretend, because I obviously know what that is. obviously, but let's pretend like the people listening don't know what that is. You want to explain what that is to us, Dan?
Well, an astrolabe is it's a small mechanism, which is a series of like interlocking gears and stuff like that. Which basically that if you when you turn it, you set it's like a dial, and you can set it to a certain date. And some astrolabes are more complicated than others, but what they think the Antikythera mechanism was just an astrolabe that you could set a date, like you could move it to a certain date, and then it would show you the approximate locations of the planets in the sky.
But that thing that Zelda's put up on the screen is the exact same fucking thing.
Similar, very similar.
Like, I don't understand. It's just not all crusty from being at the bottom of the fucking
But
ocean.
is astrolabe actually from Greece?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was like in
They've been around. Astrolabes have been around for a long time, like since at least
the
200 BC, I
earliest
believe.
astrolabe, 200 BC.
So these guys are trying to
And
fucking
they've
sell us
been-
on space or on fucking fighter jets, and they've already been making this kind of thing. Like, Jesus.
Well, they said they were invented by the Hellenistic civilization, which is Greek, and by Apollonius of Perga. So that was the first-
Apollonius. Ah, yes. Apollonius.
So they've been around for a while. Whether the Antikythera mechanism was actually one or something like maybe it was just a really fancy one. But they look quite similar. That's all I'm saying.
100% looks similar. It's hard to tell if it's fancy or not because it's all just like corroded and
Yeah, it's not fancy now.
not fancy now.
Yeah. But I like this. I subscribe to the Greek gods. If they were anything like that, it was. I don't think it was aliens per se. I think it was like further advanced humans.
You think
Right.
Time travelers?
One of my
Time travelers.
one of my favorite books, I think it's called Ilium, and it puts forth the idea that it was perhaps like really advanced humans that were like they portrayed themselves or they put themselves out as gods, and they basically they threw the Trojan War like for entertainment.
They started it for entertainment.
Yeah. It was just
Yeah,
like
imagine that though. Imagine in the future, right? Right now we're putting like our entertainment now is like pitting 1v1 fighters in a cage.
Yeah.
Right? Like yes.
You know, they had
And
gladiators, didn't they? Not?
Yeah, what I'm saying is soon we're gonna be like, that's not enough. Throw a couple. All right, let's have them fight a bear. And then like soon you're like, you know what, this is boring. Like I want to watch countries fight. I want to watch huge groups of people. Like, well, you can't do that nowadays. We're too technological advanced. So you jump in, you go down to Crazy Bob's Sunday time travel machine, and you can go and set up help watch a war back in ancient times.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like one of the best parts of the book is like at the very beginning, and it talks about how one of the best parts of the Iliad, the story of the Trojan War, is when the Greek hero Diomedes basically goes berserk with the aid of Athena. Like Athena gives him like super awesome power, like God of War Kratos level powers.
Dope.
And he goes out and he just starts murking Trojans. And in the book, what they say is like it wasn't magic. What she did was she like injected him with a type of like nanomachine that basically gave off, increased his strength and speed and all that stuff, and then gave off like the byproduct of that. Instead of creating heat, it created light. So he glowed when he did it.
Super Saiyan.
Super
basically.
Saiyan 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, Super Saiyan Super.
Yeah, the dude wrecks. He wrecks a shitload of people. He wrecks the guy who's like the second best fighter next to Hector. He wounds Aphrodite, and he
Hercules.
fucking beats Ares.
Oh shit!
Get out.
God of War.
It's like one of the coolest parts. But but they talk about like how perhaps like nanomachines or advanced science could account for these stories of heroes and things like that. If you're running a giant Greek war just for fun and you wanted to make the greatest heroes,
Give him PEDs.
yeah. And if you can, your god, like they talk about how the gods were always invisible and they could only be seen when they wanted to be seen. So, adaptive camouflage, invisibility, cloaking, it's not that far
Dude,
off.
I'm telling you, it's time travelers, and they had such a good time that they're like, we're not leaving. And then the war with Kronos was that it was the time cops coming back to be like, listen, your time's up. You got to leave. You can't stay here and keep meddling. and they had a big war with the time cops.
John Claude.
Yeah,
John
and
Claude showed up.
they caused too much damage, so they just had to be left.
So are you saying that the war between the time cops and the person that went back to start the war was
Kronos?
Kronos and the gods?
Who's it? Was it fucking? It's fucking Rod. Was Rodman the other time cop? Or am I thinking of the wrong?
No,
No, you're thinking of the wrong movie. You're double team.
Was it double
Double
take?
team, yeah.
Double take.
Fuck
Fucking Rob Schneider. They fight a tiger in that one, I think.
Dude,
Badass.
listen, hear me out here.
Melissa, man.
Melissa, Kronos is the god of time. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying. The time cops coming back in time to collect the time travelers. They didn't have any of it. Zeus, meanwhile, is like living up. He's like, listen, boys, like, we're staying here. I'm having affair after affair after affair. And he's pumping all his kids full of they're getting all his like weird PED super genes because it's in the future.
This nano jizz.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's canon now.
Makes perfect sense.
That's canon. Nano jizz.
Yep, Hercules was a product of Nano Jizz.
Yeah. Well.
And it slowly
So
runs
we
out,
learn-
right? That's why it's they filter down. In a couple generations, there were no more gods.
Nano jizz is who put the Glad in Gladiator. We've learned it.
You heard it here first.
But I'm like, to be honest, I subscribe to that theory that we just came up with. I'm like, yes.
Well, it makes more sense that if there were actually alien gods from a different galaxy or different whatever, and they can come back here and they're having sex and impregnating girls, it doesn't seem biologically feasible, really. But it would make more sense if you came from the future. You're still a human.
Yeah.
It makes more sense.
Aliens like wouldn't give a shit, but it seems like the Greek gods like had a good time.
Really good. They partied
they're
hard.
Fucking partying.
You know.
They fucked.
I heard that the Greek gods actually started 420. They're the original tokers.
Sure.
Heard that today, actually, on the forums,
Did you really?
along with a lot of other weird stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hermes, man.
On that note, I'm going for round 2 if you're following the game. Be right back.
This fucking guy, man. We should all just fucking. I can't even think of a prank to play on him while he's gone.
Oh no, when he comes back,
Nothing.
just pretend like we're saying stuff, like just mouth it silently.
No, he'll know.
No, he's gonna know. We gotta wait. We gotta wait till he's. We gotta get him. We gotta get him again in a fucking few weeks. When his guard's down, he just doesn't see it coming.
He's expecting it now.
That being said, I was expecting to get fucked with on the Ouija board, and it fucking got me.
Well, it's like, yeah, if we did that, he'd probably just shut.
What if we all don't move? What if we all don't move?
Yeah, he's gonna know.
We just shut the stream down.
This is terrible timing.
Yeah, it's terrible. He'll know. It's too bad. We could try. I mean, we could try. That's the only thing we could do. But anyways, what we're talking about? What about the Greek gods?
No. More importantly, what the fuck is that picture behind you? I need to see it. Why is it not up?
Oh, okay, dude, it's not up. I'll tell you why it's not up. I wanted to put it up right behind me because I love this picture so much. But when I hang it, the lights from my, because I got the good lighting, frame my face and stuff, get that good shading. It glares off the picture so bad.
What is the picture though? Like, what the fuck is it?
Well, I'll hold it up for you. So it's an original wired for sound by, I can't remember the artist's name. I had it just a second ago. I think it's Zeg Bryan.
What flea market did you get it at?
Actually, my parents had it up in their house all the time, and I said, "Listen, if you're ever getting rid of that, I want it. It's an original painting, poster designed from Sid Brack. It's from 1982. He has a whole collection of them. I found that out just earlier with Dan. My new goal is to collect the entire collection.
You better.
I'll go grab it.
Go grab it. I want to see this because I came in at the end there.
Oh fuck! I've seen them.
Excited to see this. I know that picture from your parents' house. That's crazy. I recognize
Wired for sound.
that was there the whole fucking time I've known you.
It's a solid 80s aesthetic pick. Like,
Braden, I know
I'm surprised Bob let that go.
I know that picture from your parents' house. I recognize it
Yeah.
vividly.
I love it. I love that picture. That picture is my childhood.
How many are in the collection?
I think 6.
Oh, you can do it.
gotta get those and some
It's not gonna be hard. They're only,
pseudo
like,
Greek
$2
sculptures and some pink and blue neon lights.
But hear me out.
Hearing.
Rhode Island. I'm talking about. I'm going back to this. Forgot to talk about this. I want to talk about this earlier.
Okay.
I want to get into it.
Get into it. Let's do it.
Talking about the living statues. How do they make the jump to robotics and having any kind of robots at all? Like, wouldn't there not be like more evidence that there was fucking robots?
That guy does that every single time.
David
Like,
Wilcox.
every single time.
He's the guy who's like taken Corey Good and the boys and the secret space program and Mars regression therapy, like to age you back to when you're like 20 years. This guy has gone full board. The whole Gaia platform is on board with Wilcox and Corey Good and the secret space program. And Corey Good went to Mars, was age regressed 20 years, and then you ask Corey Good about it and he can't tell you anything except he did it. And you're like, well, what? Same guy. It's wild, the stuff that goes on.
And Wilcox does it?
Yeah.
He does that stuff?
Well, man,
Yeah,
Wilcox
but
is deep.
I know they always bring on Ancient Aliens to he's like the he's the last guy in the relay, and it's like he just pushes that theory all the way to the end, right? It goes from like Childress to Tsoukalos, then Daniken if they got him, and then it's fucking Wilcox to take it all the way home.
It goes like
yeah, it's going way out there.
It goes starting from like, it's possible that we might not know quite enough about this ancient culture, and then Tsoukalos goes, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. And then you finally get to Wilcox and he's like, it was the aliens. 100%.
This is how they did it.
This is what they did. This is how they did it, and this is why I know.
Yeah.
It's good TV. It makes for good
He's batting
TV.
cleanup on that team, just like sucking that one home, man.
So
why don't we get into? Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
Well, we've confirmed that Cyberdyne Systems has come from ancient Greece. That's what
the Terminator
we know.
is Greek.
That's how it starts.
Cyberdyne is a Greek word.
Well, didn't Arnold play Hercules?
It's Greek for cog.
He was
Yes, he did
Arnold
play
was
Hercules
Hercules
in New York.
before he
Yeah,
was
he did.
Terminator.
Yeah,
And he fought a bear,
this is true.
In real life. Probably.
probably.
Why don't we
Allegedly.
get into some space news?
Space news.
Not a lot of space news on the space news front. One, because of all the coronavirus stuff going on. Two, because I completely forgot to get space news. But what I can tell you for sure is that there is a low chance of auroras tonight, or any night you're listening to this episode. There's a low chance of where you are right now.
So
A small chance of seeing auroras.
if you're watching it live, there's a small chance. If you're watching it on Friday, you missed
Small
it.
chance. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Whatever day you're listening to this.
Hey, Braden,
Now-
here's a technical question for you. What's the lowest the Northern Lights will get latitude? What's the lowest ever recorded? Do you know?
No, but I imagine it's like getting into, because I know it's seen in the northern states sometimes, so it's got to be. I just don't know how low. Like, how low do you go?
Well, I'm just saying
How
that
low can you go?
80% of our listeners have never seen the Northern Lights.
That's why I'm saying when you listen to this, whatever day, whatever time, the chances are low of you seeing an aurora tonight.
That is
I think
not
that pretty
fake news.
I think that's universal news.
That's not fake at all. That's one. He kept it broad, and he's not leading you on. You have a low chance to see an aurora tonight.
And I'm not saying there's no chance. So if you're living in a northern community and you happen to be like, hey, I'm listening to this, and I'm looking at them right now, you're that small chance.
You have just as good of a chance of seeing an aurora there as you do of having robots in ancient Greece.
There's always a 50% chance of seeing auroras. Either you do or you don't. 50-50.
50-50.
Well, here's the thing. So we got Aurora Borealis, and the southern one is the
Australis or something.
Australis.
Borealis aurora, because they're backwards.
Yeah. Now, if there was the biggest geostorm ever, fucking plasma blast coming everywhere, could the two be so big that the Earth is just completely encompassed with auroras? Like everywhere could see them? Like how far down do they go? Now you got me curious.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think they would. I think if auroras got that bad, that it was that strong, I think that's the one they're talking about that would fry our electrical grid. If it was that powerful.
Lowest, I'm going to write that in right now. Lowest aurora
Ever recorded?
Yeah.
That's a good question. 'Cause I don't think it's lower than like 44 degrees north.
I think it's 40.
40?
40? Are you guys ready?
What do you got?
35 degrees north.
That's the lowest ever?
That's the lowest ever recorded.
What's that? Is that like San Francisco? Or how low is that? How low is San Francisco?
Let me look at their weird ass fucking map here. It's not that low. Probably not in California.
Probably close.
You said 35 parallel north?
North.
Yeah.
It's pretty low. That's like North Carolina, Tennessee.
Yeah. It's got to be Northern California somewhere.
Yeah.
No,
No,
it
it's
looks
like mid. It's like
Carolina
Southern
missing, like all
California.
of Oregon. I don't think it is the map I'm looking at it of the lowest ever recorded. Oh no, 100%. You're right. I'm wrong. Yeah, it's a bit of Mexico might get it.
Maybe. Yeah. Like maybe like the tiniest part of Mexico, like Tijuana, maybe.
Oh, that's fucking low. Okay, most of our listeners have a very, 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 very tiny chance of seeing an aurora in their lifetime.
But you're saying there's a chance.
There's always a chance, Andrew.
If there's a sudden polar shift or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Luckily, I fell short today. Forgot
Like
space.
a polar
I knew
shift and then a gigantic solar flare.
Both Dan and Zell brought space news today.
I got some space news. Here's
Good,
the great headline.
That's why I said Zell and Dan. I knew. I didn't even
How
have
come
to ask.
nobody ever asked me if I have space news?
Because
Because
I knew
we've
you
asked
have
before. We've asked before, and you go, "Pff,
Space?
space? Is that even real, bro? Space
I don't
even
know.
real?
Hey, here's an update. You guys are all trying to hide God. That's all I know.
Been hiding God since day one. The whole podcast is about hiding God. If you couldn't
The
tell.
only space Andrew cares about is the empty space between his ears.
Oh.
This podcast is a goddamn prison.
Yeah, you couple it with
I got some other space news. 99.9% of you listening won't go to space.
I'm gonna go ahead and take
You
that a
won't
couple
know if it's real or
decibels
not.
further.
That's still a lot of people though, because we actually have a lot of listeners.
Yeah, if you get
That's not a lot of people.
99.999% of people will never go to space.
Maybe. Yeah. So 99.99.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope
We don't have
eat
99,000.
words as bad as we eat those Donald Trump will never be president words.
Oh my god.
That'd
See,
be-
that's how you know we're not time travelers.
Yeah, we can't predict
We do shit
anything.
wrong all the time.
we weren't allowed to. Ruin the future.
Yeah. All right,
I got your space news though.
The expectations of the gravitational wave research community have been fulfilled. So as a couple of years ago, we talked about, for the first time ever, they detected gravitational waves colliding.
Yeah.
And now, for the first time ever, they've detected two significantly different masses of black holes colliding, further strengthening the theory and
Gravitational waves.
of gravitational waves. And I guess they're almost seeing gravitational wave signatures almost every week now. But this is the first one that two like massively different sizes of black holes have
Does this
rippled
mean
together.
we just live in the ocean of space?
This is exactly, we're just a tiny little speck, man. We're at
In the
Earth.
fucking ocean.
The Earth is just like an electron on the scale of the universe, really.
You think there's some mini people on some like electron fucking at the bottom of the ocean who are like, fucking, we're fucking sensing waves.
It's just people
They're
jump.
called Atlanteans.
It's just people jumping in the pool and shit, and they're sensing the waves, and they're thinking it's some
Yeah, they're like,
giant
yeah,
heavenly
I
body.
feel the gravitational ray of a black hole hitting the water.
Black hole.
Cannonball!
That's Braden. Black hole's Braden. Huge rupture.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not putting anything past anything anymore. I just feel like we're just all a little piece of something bigger and smaller, or bigger or smaller, depending which way you go.
Yeah. Infinitely.
Infinite. Oh.
And infinitely wide and tall and small.
And you could never get to the bottom of it. You could think about it you could think about it as like God created the universe, but then who created God? You could think about it as a simulation universe, but who created the other simulators? Like, oh. Now you're getting to some 420 discussions.
Chicken or the egg, man.
Yeah.
Chicken or the egg.
Maybe in after hours we'll smoke a couple more and then.
Dude, the chicken came first.
The egg came first, motherfucker.
But who laid the egg?
Proto
The fucking
chicken.
chicken did.
The
God.
proto chicken wasn't
God
exactly
laid
the
those
chicken.
eggs.
The egg
It
was
like
placed there by someone from the future.
God.
Someone reached
You
back,
guys weren't
placed the
trying to
first
hide
egg.
them. You'd know that. Actually, you know what? I know who did it. It was the fucking Easter Bunny.
You know who did it? It was Adolf Hitler riding a Tyrannosaurus T-Rex with lasers on his fucking head and put the egg underneath the
Lasers.
chicken with the help of the Easter Bunny, who is the actual Jesus, because he was at the Last Supper and
My
it wasn't.
My favorite
wasn't-
meme of all time is it's got like fucking Jesus on the crucifix, and it's got some people coming up to him. They're like, Jesus, like, you know, any last words? Like, what can we do to like help you? And, you know, and then Jesus is like, I got one thing. They're like, what? Hide the eggs.
High kicks.
Oh, it's fucking funny.
Um,
What was
Still
the
under-
space? Dan, did you have space news too?
Yeah, I
The
had
best
space
news
news.
of all time.
great
This
space.
was
news.
more, this was more funny than anything else. That a company named Palantir, which is based out of Silicon Valley, has been awarded to provide the software and data services for the U.S. Space Force in order to track objects that orbit the Earth and also monitor space traffic. And the contract is for the contract is for a project called the Kobayashi Maru.
What?
What?
No, you don't understand how fucking nerdy these fucking, like, this is beyond space nerds. Like, this is like nerdiness beyond. It's a bunch of space
Oh, dude, that's
nerds
Star Trek.
coming up with super nerdy stuff. Yeah, that's Star Trek. Palantir is from the Lord of the Rings. The Palantir were the
I thought
evil.
seeing orbs.
Yeah, the evil seeing orbs, and the Kobayashi Maru was
That's
the
from Star
test that. Yeah, was the test from Star Trek and Starfleet Academy that Captain James T. Kirk was the only person to ever defeat it or win
Dude,
it.
the chairman of that company, Plantier, Peter Thiel, he's a fucking weird dude. We could probably do a case file on all the weird shit that guy's up to.
It's nuts. They didn't say how much the value of the contract was, but I guess they had been working on this actually before. Palantir had been working on this type of system before with JSOC, the Joint Space Operations Command Center. And just I guess it fell through after a couple of years. But now the Space Force has gone and decided they're going to pick it up, and that's how they're going to go forward.
Fucking love it.
Interesting.
Weird company. Weird.
Palantir.
That's it for space news. I don't think we have. I think the X2 is on the fritz again.
It's dicked.
Dicked.
It's fucking dick.
I had it going today, but then it kind of it stalled halfway.
Yeah, there's probably all that smoke in the studio.
Dude, I said
those
smoke-free studio. Smoke-free. That's why I got to go. If it wasn't smoke-free, I'd be smoking right here, blowing in the camera. But I respect my equipment, and I'm not going to do it.
How, you're not gonna smoke on all the beer-covered equipment.
Beer doesn't get into the crevices. Like, you only spill on the keyboard for the most part, so it's fine. You just throw the keyboard away after a bit. You buy a used one off the internet for $5. You just keep throwing them out. Not throwing them out. Recycling. For all you sticklers, I've been recycling them to the electronics recycling department.
Zell, if you want to queue up the new Patreons, I've got a couple new 5-star reviews I'm going to read. This is a 5-star review from Boy Get My Gun from Australia. Good times. Great podcast, covers great points through thorough discussion and always very clever humor. Please start to use the term mort. The Urban Dictionary has the meaning. Maybe start using the phrase Blumpkin berries too. Good times, chairs.
Like
I think I'm
Mort,
supposed to say chairs.
like Mort and Mindy.
Like what's
What?
mort on the Urban Dictionary? Pull that up, Zell.
Like we're talking
Do we
Mort.
dare?
Like
Okay, wait.
fucking
Yeah,
Robin
I'll pull it up. I'm not gonna look at it. I'm just gonna pull it up. So it could be anything.
Okay.
So
All right.
what's it? What is it?
Yeah.
Mork?
Mort on Urban Dictionary.
Mort. Urban Dictionary. Urban Dictionary. Mort. All right.
Oh, Mort, not Mork. I thought it was Mork.
Okay, I'm not gonna look. I'm just gonna pull it up. I'm not even gonna look. I'm gonna read it together. Oh, it's so.
I
Can
can't
you even read that?
No, it's so
Mort.
blurry.
Anything used to describe someone who lacks sense of life, looks dumbfounded, and has only a limited ability to learn and understand, often excluded from society.
Oh, fucking, we're morts.
Yeah, it's all of us.
Hi.
We're all a bunch of morts, I guess.
5-star review from Stone and Steel. Walking the line. I appreciate the viewpoints on everything these guys put together. Keeps me between believing everything and questioning everything. That's right down the middle.
Right
where
down.
we strive for everything.
Yes.
Can't read that one. 5-star.
Why can't you read that one?
Too racial.
Oh shit.
I can't read. I'm not allowed to read the words. Let's just put it that way. I'm not allowed to read it. I can't read it.
It's fair.
Sorry.
5 stars though.
5 stars. I can't read it.
There you go.
Insert a different word that find a different word that you can.
Not
use
worth
instead.
it. Might slip
not
up.
doing it.
Might
Coward.
slip
I'm
up.
not doing it. 5-star review. The only place I get my news.
No,
That's a terrible
not a
idea.
good idea.
Good idea.
Not a
at
good
all.
idea.
Who's ever doing that and coming here and be like, I'm listening to these guys, and then that's fact.
Mm.
Don't
Mm,
look it up yourself.
I'll do it.
You
We're-
are getting. This is worse than third-hand news.
We're a bunch of
This is coming to
morts.
us,
We're a
alright?
bunch of
Listen-
morts here.
Yeah.
Don't listen to the morts.
Like, this is like, I heard from my sister who knows a guy who has a dog, who also the dog knows a guy who hangs out with this other girl that buys meat from the deli from this other guy who said to her that they're aliens.
Yeah, but Dan, all those people that you listed are far more credible than us.
Yeah,
Might be
that's
true.
what I'm saying.
Way more.
Buddy, like Rick never takes advice from Jerry. We're full Jerry's.
You just said we're all Jerry's.
We're all morts.
Oh,
Whoa,
Oh.
that's not cool. Don't ever.
buddy,
don't-
you're the biggest Jerry. You'd be
No,
like
never.
Pluto's the planet in a heartbeat.
Oh.
Dude, one time
You'd be flexing and shit up there.
Rick took
Where-
advice from Jerry to go on the whirly durly, and then he almost got himself killed.
I'm not saying we're wrong all the time.
I'm definitely more of a sleepy Gary
Hey,
Sleepy Gary.
or a Scroopy Nooper, but
we are 50% right and 50% wrong. We're either right or we're wrong.
Right down the middle. Right down the center.
Always
Tell you guys, who's our new patrons? Thanks to everyone supporting the show. If you want to get on, we got tons of other material. We just released our live pay-per-view watch along of the Cryptid Crush-a-thon that happened last weekend.
Oh
What?
my God, was it gory?
Fight, dude. Unbelievable.
Fun
If you wanna
times.
Hard to
listen
watch.
our live watch along. Go to patreon.com/alientheorists. As little as $5 gets you all access to everything we do. And head to our merch store, alientheoristheorizing.live. We got shirts, we got hats, and I promise you, sometime in the next 30 days, we're going to have some new wicked merch up for the summer season. I'm working on it. It's tough, but within the next 30 days, maybe for May 1st, we will see.
Spend those government checks.
Yeah, spend those. Don't. Hey, why stimulate your businesses around your community when you can stimulate us? Send us those. Send us those, hard-earned dollars. Support the show. Thanks, everyone. We love the support. It keeps the show going. And as you can see, if you've been following us from the start, the bigger we get, the better the improvements. that we put into the show. So, we're doing the live streams now and stuff, and that's all thanks to you guys. We can't thank you enough.
Okay,
So,
so
who are their new Patreoners?
let's give a quick disclaimer here. There's more than we normally read because last week we tried to record this very same case file and we completely butchered it. So it's going to be...
That's being generous.
That's being generous. The quarantine was rough on us last week. It was Easter weekend and Monday came. It was a compounded hangover, so in order to get over the hangover, you had to get a little more drunk. And then by the time 7:30 rolled around, nothing went at all.
All right, so I'll make up some names. Let's hear.
All right, Hugo, Russian, Brody, Allen, Otway, Tasman, Cooey, Joseph Branston. I'm pretty sure he's watching the live stream. Cheers, Joseph. Colton, Wesley Fincher, Jenna. These are all pretty standard names this week. Very surprised. Robert Bates, Devin, Christopher.
You got cocked.
I got
Called
caught.
you out on your weird names.
Yeah, I did. No, Christopher Buck Sleazy the Fourth.
All right.
That's pretty fucking dope.
That's a fucking cool name.
Ryan. Pretty sure that guy's Master Side 9 or whatever, that streamer.
That's a pretty dumb name.
He has a stupid fucking name.
Ryan. Yeah, that's a terrible name.
Stupid name. I do not approve of my own name. Mindy C. Streese. Magnus Hara. FEF. My favorite so far. Jessica Rios. Papa Falapa.
Nice.
New favorite. New favorite today, Papa Falapa.
Papa Flappa.
Papa Falapa Flappa Papa.
Okay.
Jen Geiger. Nick. Sean Spencer. When was the last time we recorded? 6th. A couple more. Anthony McKenna. Isabella. Matt Smith. Dennis Super Sane.
Nice.
Just Dennis Sane. Or Sanes, but I added super. And that's it.
You know what? If any other theorite out there, I want to know if there's any other Craigs out there that have the same issue as me
What do you mean?
with their name.
Elaborate.
There's people not hearing their name. I've never thought to ask other people with the same name.
Maybe. I don't know.
Don't know your name or don't know how to spell your name because that's like
I don't
1%
know.
You can't say
of
like when
people.
you say your name to someone else, they just go and just say a completely different name.
It's just because you got such a forgettable face.
Is that what it is?
Probably.
Yeah. And I'm always looking at the ground like away when I'm talking.
Please don't call me Craig. Please don't call me Craig. Please don't call me Craig.
I just
Anything else before we wrap this up?
couple things. One thing, I just wanted to give a quick personal thank you to all the Patreons supporting because this is technically now during the COVID my full-time gig. So I'm going to be striving to bring out even more content than we normally would while we wait for the whole madness to work itself out. And Zell's Band of the Week is a local band from Kelowna, BC called Ancient Engines. The song's called Gordy-Brook. It's an awesome music video to go with it, so you can find them on Spotify. Ancient Engines.
What's their name again?
Ancient Engines.
Fucking, they should just call themselves the fucking Antikythera mechanism.
Just should. I'll pass.
Fighter jets.
I'll pass a word on to him. Anyways, Ancient Engines. Song's called Gordy-Brook. That's how we're gonna
Thanks
end tonight.
everyone. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week. And as we always say, keep those eyes on the skies.
Peace.
I got a bad thought with your name on it now. A tiny bag of bones, some marrow and salt. A tiny bag of bones, some marrow and salt. We can drip it from a bag and shake it off. We can drip it from a bag and shake it off. from my bag and shake it off. We can drip it from my bag and shake it off. Tiny bag of bones, some marrow and salt.